In August 2021, the Taliban shocked the world as they swept to power in Afghanistan, forcing many Afghans to flee their homes and seek refuge in the neighboring countries.
Oh my God, you can see here as the weather is sunny and sunshine, the streets are very nice and you can see cars are on the road and peaceful life in here. It was different in Afghanistan.
Zara Shahir has just moved into her own house in High Wycombe after being stuck at the Bridging Hotel for 9 months. She was a journalist in Afghanistan for 10 years, but fled after death threats from the Taliban, as she felt her life was at risk.
Like 15 August, when you can see the armies, the soldiers, they wanted to make stop the crowd. There was a lot of crowd because Taliban was coming inside Kabul. And this is me. I was wearing mask because I was worried Taliban shouldn't recognize me. I was escaping from one car to other car. And I do remember I changed a lot of cars that day, like 2-3 cars. And it took me like 2 hours I get to my house. Normal days, my house was like 15 minutes far from my office in the car. But that day it took me like 2 hours. I couldn't walk, I was crying. It was dangerous time in my life, very bad time.
It was a summer of nightmares, the Taliban back in charge, those living there desperate to get out. The UK government tried to evacuate Britons and Afghans who would walk alongside them. It was chaos. The UK government announced its commitment to resettle up to 20,000 Afghan refugees over the next few years. But the situation is far from smooth sailing. Thousands of Afghans, those on the resettlement scheme called ARAP and ACRS, have been successfully brought to the UK. But their journey does not end here. Many refugees are facing language barriers, lack of access to healthcare and other necessities. These challenges are making it difficult for them to integrate into the UK society.
I think integration is very important. After 6 months, my children could go to school and I could come to this house and start English language. I think we waste our half here, we can say like 6 months with problems that we were not integrated in the society. We were just stuck in one room in the hotel and we couldn't do anything. And it's a waste of time for 6 months. My children didn't went to school. They couldn't improve their language. I was in the hotel and I couldn't go for any ESL course or university something.
There are still many roadblocks for thousands of Afghan refugees who fled the Taliban, as Yusuf explains.
The most important thing, as I mentioned before, is finding job for them. Most of those people are like professionals who left. For example, they're carpenters, mechanics in Afghanistan. Like most of them are like doctors and engineers. They need accommodation. I mean, to reintegrate them in this community, they have to be given like chance to study short-term language or bridge classes.
The MPs were unambiguous in their criticism and said there were systematic failures of intelligence, diplomacy, planning and preparation, which raised questions about the machinery of government. Operation Warm Welcome was launched by the UK government in September 2021 to welcome Afghans to the UK, but has been characterized by multiple failings. Some of the families have been moved from one hotel to another in a completely different parts of the UK. This broken model of accommodation is still continuing, despite the Home Office acknowledging that it is not a long-term solution. The government has recognized its failing and some of their shortcomings. However, charitable organizations like Afghanistan and Central Asian Association are stepping in to help refugees build a life in the UK. I sat down with Mehnaz, an Afghan refugee who feels the charity is helping her more than the UK government. Has the UK government or has any charities helped you integrate into the UK society?
No, they didn't help me, but SCCA helped me for learning English and for finding some jobs.
Sadaf Farzan, the project head of mental health and well-being, believes the charity brings in a sense of community to make refugees feel uplifted and more at home.
When they have depression, anxiety, so especially their culture shock, it's not good for them. Hopefully the situation is gonna change in a good way for them. So that's why we have more music therapy for them. So they're gonna come and listen to the music for a few minutes. They're gonna forget all the problem they have.
Zara is just one of the lucky few, but there are still hundreds of refugees stuck at the hotel waiting for their shot at a regular life.
Amin ya Rabbal Alamin.
Zara, what did you pray for?
Actually, I prayed for everywhere, for peace and in Afghanistan, everywhere, for people to be in peace, and there shouldn't be any war in any part of the world.